Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. This is Claire and I have Jessica here next to me. We are product marketers from Atlassian and we're super excited to demonstrate to you how you and your team can get the most out of Confluence Cloud. Jessica is going to walk through some basic housekeeping items and then we'll get started.
Hi everyone, it's Jessica. I want to talk to you about how this webinar is going to go down. First of all, you'll have a chance to ask questions throughout, and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible. We'll also do a Q&A session at the end. We're going to take several polls during the webinar, and we'd love for you to participate. And then most importantly, we'll send you a recording of the webinar within the week, and you can share it with any of your teammates who want to learn more about how to get the most out of Confluence. So here's our agenda for today. First, we'll talk to you about setting up your site and spaces. Then we'll go into how to make beautiful pages. We'll talk about how to organize everything inside of Confluence and how to find what you need. And then we'll talk about a bunch of the popular use cases for Confluence, like managing knowledge, collaborating, and staying engaged. We'll also discuss several popular integrations that companies use with Confluence. And then, of course, we'll take your questions at the end.
Great. So for some of you that might be new to Confluence, I just wanted to give a sort of brief overview of sort of the value and the benefit your team can see in Confluence. So if you're like Jessica and myself, the information you need to do your job is spread out all over the place. So you may have some information in Word docs, email, of course, Slack, PDFs, even Post-it notes that you have from different meetings. So it can make finding information difficult, especially if you're on a global team or a remote team. And even if you're not, there's many ways of working in different teams who have a variety of knowledge spread across different locations and files. So what Confluence really does is bring all that information into one place and one platform across all of your teams. All that information is connected, interconnected so that it's easily found and not locked in folders or apps across your devices. So it's really a central hub where you can organize your work, collaborate together, and get your work done. One important thing to note is that Confluence is a Swiss Army knife. So there's a lot of different use cases, as Jessica mentioned. Some teams use it for knowledge management, some people use it for project collaboration, and even just to get sort of employees engaged in the company culture. And then a lot of companies use it for all three. So I wouldn't think of Confluence, there's one way to use it, but there's many different ways, and today we're going to really go over the tips we have for making the most out of using Confluence. Okay, let's dive right in. So first I'll start you with Home. Home is a new feature and the first page you'll see when you start Confluence. So Home helps you easily find where you left off. All of your recent pages that you visited, worked on, starred, or drafted. I really like Home because it lets me jump into the work that I've recently been working on in Confluence. Home also shows you an activity feed on the right side of what's happening across your team or in your company. You can also filter for what's popular on your site based on likes and comments. Over time, we'll make this more relevant for you with more signal and less noise, so you can see what's important across your company. Everything in Confluence is organized in spaces, which can also be found in Home. So spaces are a collection of related pages and an easy way to organize your Confluence site. And then pages are the docs that your team will actually use to create, edit, and discuss or plan and get your work done. So I also want to show you just the new navigation that we have for Confluence. This new top navigation in Confluence, you can get to all the information across your site really easily from any page that you're on in Confluence. You can see all the recent work, drafts, starred pages, and blogs. You can also see any of the spaces that you've recently visited or starred. The People tab is also where you can find a site directory of all the users that are on Confluence. You can start a team by going to the Start a Team button, and this will spin up a team profile page and allow you to mention your entire team. And of course, you can also create pages from the navigation too. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about team spaces. So let's walk through an example of a team space. So we recommend in Confluence that you have a space for every team or sort of big project across your organization. So like I mentioned, spaces help you organize all of the pages that are related to that team. So this is a marketing example of a homepage of a team. We've named all of the team members, we've shared our mission and our goals, and also the blogs that are relevant to this team. Let's take a look at the page tree. This is something that's unique to Confluence and really helps you organize all the pages that you have in Confluence. You can drag and drop pages in the page tree, which is also a pretty new feature of Confluence. This will help you keep your pages organized and show sort of the hierarchy of how pages fit. This is another way you can actually create pages in context. So if you hover over a page in the page tree, you can press the plus button. And that's a way to actually create a page exactly where you need it to live in Confluence in the page tree. So now I want to show you another type of space, which are personal spaces in Confluence. So Jessica is looking at her personal space. She hasn't created one yet, but this is where she would actually go to create it. A personal space is a great place to keep all of your pages that you might not want to share with your team just yet, or stuff that is only for you to view, like a career document or projects that you're working on. We can take a look at my personal space to show you an example. I've shared sort of a few things about me that people can come and navigate to. Any blogs that I've written, anything that I've recently updated will also be shown on this space. And then lastly, I want to take you through the last part of the navigation, which is search. You can find recent work by using the Recent tab in the navigation, as I mentioned before. You can also use the keyboard shortcut GR to open this window and find recently visited pages or drafts. Use the / to open up the regular search in the top right. And then for those of you who want even more powerful search, you can use granular filters. Just tap the search bar and go to where it says Advanced Search. This will allow you to narrow down your search by contributor, content type, last modified date, label, or even search for page titles.
Okay, it's Jessica again, and now we're going to talk about how to create beautiful pages in Confluence. All of this magic happens in the editor. As Claire mentioned, you can start a page by tapping the Create button in the top navigation. And just keep in mind that wherever you create from is where that page will live. So here you can create a page from scratch or use a pre-made template. So let's suppose I want to take notes in a meeting. I can use the meeting notes template, which is quite popular, and fill it in with important information. So you can add the date, the participants, the agenda, the goals, even action items and decisions that were made. But let's imagine that you want to start a new page. When you open the editor, you can set headers, format your text, and use macros to make informative, well-organized Confluence pages. But of course, you want to start by giving your page a name, a title, and then you can also add headings. And Claire's going to go through and show you how to create a project plan. So if you learn nothing else today, the most important thing is the / command. This is the most powerful feature in the editor, and it loads macros. And you can either start typing macros or do as Claire was doing, which is just scrolling through the list. So now she's adding a layout, and a table. And tables are one of the best ways to organize information because you can sort them to better spot trends in your data. They also help you just organize project plans. So here she's using the status macro to add a status to show where her project is. You can also add team members, and when you tag them, they will get an email notification when they've been added to a page. We love Confluence because it integrates so well with Jira, and so she is using the Jira integration, again, a macro. And so if you have a Jira ticket associated with your project, it's really easy to embed it in the page. And then we also have a fun feature in the macros, which allows you to add emojis and give your pages some team spirit. So if you aren't ready for others to see your page, you can close it, which will save your page in draft format. Confluence uses a publish model, so when you're ready for the page to be seen by others, you simply press publish. Now before you publish, you can update the permissions on your page, and you can do this by tapping the lock icon in the top right of your page. You can set permissions to anyone can view and edit, editing restricted so everyone can view, but only some can make changes. Viewing and editing restricted, use this setting if you want to only share your page with a small group of people. And only when you publish your page and open up your permissions will others be able to see it. One thing to keep in mind is that pages inherit the permissions of the space they're in. As we mentioned, Confluence can be used for different purposes. So we want to show you a few tips depending on how you use it. Many of you may use Confluence for technical documentation, so I want to show you how to use tables and anchored headings. Let's take another look at tables. When you click on a table, you'll see these dots that you can hover over and very easily insert columns and rows. You can also highlight over columns and rows to delete them. You can change background colors and add numbered columns too. You can even adjust your tables from fixed width to full width. Now, if you want to send someone information that's most relevant to them, you should use anchored headings. When you add a heading and you publish your page, you can automatically copy a heading link and send it to whomever you need so that they can go right to the section of the page you want them to read. So one of the ways we use Confluence here at Atlassian is to collaborate with each other. And of course, you can actually edit collaboratively on the same page simultaneously. So look, Claire, we're in here together. And you can also add comments at the bottom of people's pages once they're published and in line by highlighting over text on the page. The best way to show team spirit and give your teammates a hit of dopamine is by liking their pages and commenting. And our comment functionality uses the same editor. Now, for those of you who want to use Confluence to keep your team engaged, there are a few power features for that too. You can star pages that you want to save to read later, and they're a little bit like bookmarks. You can find pages you starred under your work in the navigation. You can also watch a page by clicking on the eye icon. This way, you'll get emails whenever that page changes, so you can stay on top of the latest updates. And if you want to truly wow your team and share more about yourself, write a blog. You can do this from the Create tab in the navigation. And what's cool about blogs is that they get listed under your team or personal space too.
Okay, Claire again here. There are loads of integrations that you can use right within Confluence so that Confluence can act as your single source of truth. Today we're going to introduce you to some of the top integrations used with Confluence. Let's get started with Jira. So you can navigate to Jira using the app switcher in the top left corner of Confluence and dive right into Jira. So for those of you who work with development teams who are always in Jira, you can keep those cross-functional teams in the know by pulling Jira issues or roadmaps directly into your Confluence pages. So earlier we showed you the Jira issue in Confluence, but today we want to show you the latest launch that we had was around Jira roadmaps. So if you go to Jira roadmaps, you can actually just copy the URL straight from the Jira roadmap and then navigate back to your project plan to embed it. Simply just add the link to your Confluence page and the Jira roadmap will appear on the page. So this is great to keep stakeholders, sort of give stakeholders visibility into milestones or date changes. Instead of having to always have them log into Jira, they can just go to a Confluence page and see that Jira roadmap right there. The other nice trick I wanted to show you is around creating Jira issues straight from a Confluence page. So I'll go into publish mode. And here you can see that earlier we embedded a Jira issue, but now you can actually just create a Jira issue straight from a Confluence page. Awesome. So I know some of you also use Trello to manage your projects. So I want to show you that you can also embed a Trello board directly into your Confluence page. So if you navigate to Trello, you can grab the URL simply as you did before, and then go back to your project page, and then you're going to use the Trello macro, just using the / command as we showed earlier. And then from the macro, just embed the URL. And that Trello board will appear on your Confluence page. And after you publish, you'll actually be able to move cards directly from Confluence in your Trello board. Awesome. So the other integrations that we want to talk about today are actually found on the Atlassian marketplace. So some of these integrations will have to be installed by your site administrator to enable them. But let's take a spin over here and see what's available. So we have a ton of different tools from design, themes and styles, document management. Okay, I'm just going to jump back to my slides here so I can show you a demo of some of these great integrations. Let's start with Google Drive. The Google Drive integration is really something useful because it allows you to display supporting data or make your business case with slides right in Confluence. You can drop a Google link in your page or use the / command to find Google to add a doc, spreadsheet, or slides to your page. You can embed or even edit all of your Google Drive sheets, slides, and docs within Confluence. You can also adjust the height and width of these elements or go full screen. Let's go to the Slack integration. The Slack app allows you to interact with Confluence directly within Slack. So if you use Slack to chat with your team, this is a great way to stay in one app without interrupting your workflow. You can choose what pages and spaces you want to track in Slack and what notifications to receive. You can see a Confluence page preview in Slack and even reply to a Confluence comment. Next up is Glyphy. So Glyphy is a native integration that allows you to seamlessly add diagrams to Confluence pages. Drag and drop functionality makes it really easy to create and edit diagrams, embed or link diagrams throughout your instance. They'll stay updated automatically. Choose from ready-made templates or use an existing diagram as a starting point. Cool. Draw.io is a similar app. This is another popular integration for creating flowcharts and diagrams in your Confluence pages. It comes with a large library of templates. Creating and editing are built into standard Confluence workflow.
Wow, that was a lot of material that we covered today, Claire. Thanks for powering through with us, guys. Now we're happy to shift over to the Q&A portion and take your questions.
Okay, question 1 from Mark. Can you share a little bit more about the Confluence product roadmap? So I'm just going to push this to the slide area. Yeah, so we can't share exact dates on the Confluence product roadmap, but I will share some focus areas for our product team here. So this year, Confluence is focused on the customer experience and satisfaction for some of our main areas of the product. So content creation experience with our new editor, as we've talked about. You can find the roadmap online if you'd like in our documentation. So stay tuned for more powerful features coming up on that. We have a big team working on the new editor and that experience. And then, of course, finding things more easily in Confluence with the improvements of top navigation, which we showed today, and then the new home experience and better search. Another thing that we're focused on this year is adding more personalized experiences for the different roles and use cases across Confluence. So we'll be sharing some exciting news on our template experience so that you can get the most out of creating content quickly in Confluence. Another focus area is sort of optimizing Confluence for those customers who use it at scale. So adding different ways to visualize your site usage and the people across your site so you can keep it up to date and accurate over time. And then lastly, a big focus area for us is around the collaboration experience. So we want to redesign the way you collaborate with others and improve all of that. Jessica, do you want to take the next question?
Sure. So the next question is from Jane. What are you specifically doing to improve content creation and experience? So I'll just list a few of the things that we're working on currently. We're working on making the tables experience better, so filtering, adding more column types, and table visualization. We're also working on the media linking and image display. And then we're also working on better linking, so from attachment links and image header links to better links for search. And then, of course, we're going to continue to improve our Jira integration. There's an online roadmap for the editor that you can find in our documentation. So look for that, and you can stay abreast of what's coming.
Cool. I'll take the next one. What's the best way to keep my space organized? So we get this question a lot. So I want to give you guys some tips. So the first thing is around giving I sort of mentioned this before, but giving every team or big project a space in Confluence. And then use different spaces for different use cases. So we've talked about the knowledge management use case and then a project collaboration use case. So if you actually separate these two types of use cases in Confluence for your teams, it'll help keep your content more organized. So for knowledge management, you would only have a few collaborators, a few people updating that content and making sure it's up to date for your organization. So like an HR team could put in processes or different sort of types of information you want your entire organization to see. And then in a separate space, you'd have project collaboration where everyone has access to all those pages and they can work with their team to move work forward. And then another tip is around sort of setting up your space from the beginning. We always recommend you pre-fill the parent pages when you set up a space. So then when subsequent creators go to add to that space, they sort of know what the structure is, and that helps keep things organized. And then lastly, really like weeding your garden, I guess after you've been using a space for a while, you want to set up a plan to keep that content up to date and sort of clean out things that are no longer relevant. A new feature that we have is analytics. So analytics shows you sort of your top used and your least used pages and spaces. So that's a great way to sort of see what you can retire in terms of content on that space to keep everything really up to date. And then soon we'll also be adding page archiving, which helps you just sort of remove those pages from search and all of that. So stay tuned for more on that.
All right. The next question is from John. What are the best elements and macros to use in Confluence? So I'm just going to go over a few of our favorites because there are so many. The new expand element allows you to add more detailed information to your pages without overstuffing them. So if you're writing a long report and you have, for example, done a bunch of data analysis, you can actually put the raw data into an expand and just use that element so that when people are scanning your pages, you can sort of easily scan whatever the takeaways are from your data analysis. You can label your expand and readers can dig into more details whenever they want them. The status element is one of our favorites here at Atlassian because it's a visual element that allows you to assign a colored status for your project milestones. And so again, this makes your page really scannable. Anyone who's looking at it can get a quick picture of where various milestones are. We also really like the info panel element. It gives your pages a pop of color where you can summarize takeaways so that they stand out. And there are a few different ones to choose from. If there's like a risk or, you know, a note that you want to make stand out, we use these to break up our pages. And then, of course, the table of contents macro gives your pages structure and automatically populates based on your page headings, and it allows your readers to just jump to the information that they need.
Cool. Next question from Mark. Can I upload videos or interactive media to Confluence pages? Yeah, we didn't get a chance to demo this, but this is a great new feature in the editor, the new media picker. So this allows you to add any files you've uploaded directly from your computer. You can also integrate with Dropbox or Google Drive and upload straight from there. We integrate with Giphy, so if you want to add some, GIFs to your pages or add some fun, you can actually search for GIFs straight from Confluence's new media picker. The other nice thing about the media picker is that it saves images and files across Jira and Confluence. So once you've uploaded an image or a file once, you don't have to do it again. You can go directly to Jira and you can upload that same file. You can upload movie files. And then once you add the images to the page, you can adjust them on your page, adjust the size. The other new feature we've added is image captions or annotation. So you can actually, in the media picker, you can annotate images right from Confluence. So if you haven't seen that already, go to the editor and just try to upload a file and you'll see everything right there.
Okay, so this question is from Mary. What's the best way to get my organization to use Confluence? And we get this question a lot from customers, so it's a great one. Thank you for asking. Here are just a few of the things that have helped Confluence become ubiquitous at Atlassian and many other companies. You can get your leadership on board and have them announce it in your company all-hands meeting. Just the fact that this is the new tool that is going to be your organization's single source of truth. And if people want to find information, they should look in Confluence first. Challenge your teams to replace their weekly status meetings with a Confluence page instead. So this would be a page that they update weekly to show their status and have conversations around any of those items versus having a meeting. Put all of your strategic planning and goal setting pages in Confluence. This is great because people are going to obviously be checking on their goals and how they're executing against them. And then again, also reporting on how they're performing against their goals. This is a great place that obviously touches every department and any organization. You can also share project plans with your cross-functional teams in Confluence. So this is a great way to get various teams that maybe don't work together day to day, but do need to have a good picture into what each other are doing. And project plans are going to raise that visibility and hopefully alignment with those teams. You can introduce new hire intro blogs to your organization. So this is something we do at Atlassian. We ask all of our new hires to share a blog, just introducing them to their team. These blogs are really fun, and they actually get people hands-on experience in Confluence from day one. They often have a lot of pictures, emojis, fun GIFs, and that sort of thing to add personality. And then you can also use Confluence for reporting out results and end of project wrap-up blogs. So I just did an end of project wrap-up blog last week. So this is just a quarter after, your project ends, reporting on the results you got and sharing with the team. And that's a really nice way to sort of close out a project. We've recently heard about a company that was having so much difficulty, getting traction with Confluence that they introduced this really fun cake exercise. So they started getting a cake from time to time, but there was one catch, and this was for the office. To find out where to find the cake, you had to check Confluence to find out basically the conference room where the cake was located. So just get creative. There are a lot of ways where you can get people into the habit of using Confluence and looking there whenever they need information to get their jobs done.
Cool. That's a fun idea. I'm seeing quite a few questions from when we were showing home and the new navigation. I'm just going to put one up on the screen, but a few people asking sort of about the rollout. I'm seeing the blue navigation bar on the left side still. So today we were demoing sort of the latest and greatest of Confluence with our new home and new navigation. So this is slowly rolling out gradually to different instances right now. So you should expect to see this in the next few months. So don't fear, it will be coming to your instance soon. We are excited to get this to everyone and hear your feedback. It's a great addition to Confluence.
Okay, so this question is from Fabrizio. Do you offer a dark mode view? It's quite helpful. I agree with you, Fabrizio. And we know that this is something that our customers want. We don't currently offer a dark mode view, but you can rest assured that I'm advocating with our product team every chance I get for this. And, please continue to use channels of communication with Atlassian to request this feature.
Cool. This question is from Alex. Are there public templates available, for example, marketing space? So as mentioned, templates are going to be a huge focus area in the next coming months. We do have a bunch of public templates available. If you go to our Atlassian site and then go to the Confluence tour, you will see a templates tab and you'll see a bunch of templates on there. Keep in mind, we'll be adding a ton of different templates for different roles from marketing, HR, IT, and also improving the experience in product. So stay tuned for more on that. But yes, certainly you can find public templates available on our site now, but we'll be adding a bunch soon. I think there's only a few more questions.
I have a few more. So Kim asks, what does ordering of pages within a space give you? So Kim, that's a great question. The really powerful quality of the page tree is that it shows sort of a visual hierarchy of the pages within a space. And so I often find myself reorganizing pages within a space just to sort of show if anyone's looking for materials, really sort of what my priorities are, what sort of the most important projects I'm working on. The other really nice thing is you can very easily, with drag and drop, turn a page, and with contextual create, which we demoed today, turn a page into a parent page. So for example, when I am working with product managers and trying to find more information about a feature that we are getting ready to launch, I can usually rest assured that that feature, there will be basically a title page for that feature, and then I can dig in and find the designs for that feature, the specs for that feature, any user stories. So that is one of the really powerful ways to use parent pages and their children pages. And I would just suggest that you experiment with it, using that hierarchy, testing whether or not it makes things more intuitive for people to find in your organization.
Cool. I have one more. So this question is about the difference between pages and spaces. Are they separate? So we went over this briefly in the beginning, but it can get some getting used to in the beginning when you're just getting started in Confluence. So I'll repeat it here. So spaces are a great way to sort of house a bunch of different related pages. So what we typically recommend is that a team or sort of a main project have their own space so that they can go and create all those subpages that are related to that. So, Jessica and I are on a marketing team here and the Confluence marketing team. So we actually have our own space in Confluence to organize all of our planning docs, our goals, our meeting notes, any blogs that we want to share for results of anything we're doing. But yeah, every team at Atlassian has a space, or if you have a project, sort of an initiative that you want to organize all the pages underneath. So then a page is actually just the page where you're going to write the content about that. So we, just like I said, we have pages for, our goals or sort of a project documentation, that sort of thing. So the one thing I mentioned before is if you want to keep these organized, you can actually create a parent page and then have child pages underneath that. And that's a way that, Jessica mentioned, you can keep a space really organized. I hope that answers your question.
So I'll take another page tree question now. Are the changes in the page tree reflected for all viewers, or is it customizable for each individual? And this question's from Luis. Luis, great question. Basically, any change that you make to the page tree is reflected for all viewers. And I think this question does a nice job of sort of highlighting how Confluence has been created for open teamwork. So really any member on the team has the ability to sort of, figure out what the best way to organize that information is. And then everyone can see it. It's reflected to everyone. So it's not a per individual view. It's, how the last person left it is what everyone will see. So hopefully you guys are being thoughtful about your organization and your page tree. Okay, and I have one more question from Linda that I want to cover. How do you delete a document if it is no longer relevant and just needs to go away? So Linda, when you are in a Confluence page and it's published in its published state, there are ellipses at the top right. And the menu, if you click on those ellipses, the menu that opens up has a delete button, and that will delete your page. So that's one way of getting rid of a page that's no longer relevant. The other exciting thing is that pretty soon we will have archiving pages coming to Confluence. So look out for that. We know that this is something people have been looking forward to, and that would allow you to hold on to your content. Even if it's no longer relevant, you can still sort of harness that knowledge your team had and know where they've been before. Okay, so we have finished all of the questions that we're going to take today. We're going to let you guys get back to work. Thank you so much for joining. And I just want to remind everyone, we know there were a lot of questions that we weren't able to answer today, but we are going to plan on putting together a community post that has the most frequently unanswered questions that we received in today's webinar. So look out for that. And obviously we'll be following up in the next week with a recording for the webinar. So thanks again for joining us and have a great day.